my name is Gareth, and I'd like to welcome you to the first episode of Video Game Podcast. I'm joined by my co-host, Kieran.
Hello.
We're going to give you a brief rundown of what our goals are with this podcast. We're going to be posting this podcast once a month to begin with, and then eventually break into a more regular schedule. And we're going to be talking about up-to-date game news, local events we're going to try attend. We're going to be talking about retro and modern games. We're probably going to throw some top fives into there.
Yeah, loads.
And pretty much anything you guys want us to talk about gaming related. This is a game podcast, in case you couldn't tell by the title.
It's the video game podcast.
So we're just going to talk about ourselves for a little bit. Just give you guys an introduction to us, how we got into gaming, what we play now, what we played when we were growing up, our kind of phases, if you would. So I'll start first. My first experience of gaming actually came from my Skybox. I came into the living room one day and my mum was playing Bejeweled.
Behave Bedlam, no?
It could have been, but I just remember. No. What, Bubble Burst? What was that game?
It was all the same.
Yeah. That was my
game.
first introduction to the game.
Yeah.
Then my first actual kind of console was a Game Boy handheld, the Brick. The Brick.
What a console to start with.
Yeah, it's a good one.
That's class. It's a really good one, actually.
Little handheld. I was a fanatic of Pokemon, the anime series that was on TV. Loved it, and therefore my mom and dad just assumed, you're getting Pokemon Yellow. Oh, no, sorry, I started with Pokemon Blue, and then I begged them for Pokemon Yellow because it had Pikachu on it instead of Blastoise.
Yeah, this is great because I have no exposure to a wee bit. It's definitely a blind spot for me. Pokemon,
Pokemon was my.
So that's cool.
It's my bread.
Really good.
It's my bread and butter. My absolute bread and butter.
I mean, it's a huge franchise, and I just really.
Yeah, I have Sword and Shield pre-ordered, the limited edition one with the gold steel book.
The one that you can't get all the Pokemons in. Yeah.
There's a lot. Right? You're not going to spoil it for me. There's a ton of crap going on with this Pokemon at the minute, but that's not going to stop me. It's not going to stop me. The first one on the Switch, the first actual canon Pokemon story. So they had Let's Go Eevee, Let's Go Pikachu out. Mm-hmm. It's just a rerun of the first one, and this is the second or third time they released the first original.
So what's the story? Is it different from any of the other? Because I've played a couple of them, and you're just a guy, and you start off, and you find out that there's these Pokemon teams, and you can meet up with people, and then they play against each other, and then you spend your time walking around the countryside looking for Pokemon.
The goal of Pokemon is to become the Pokemon master. You start off as a 10-year-old child.
No, but is there a narrative?
This is the narrative. You start off as a 10-year-old child, starting your adventure in the world of Pokemon. This is like, whenever we're 10, we do we start our secondary school, we move into then GCSEs. This is the GCSEs of the Pokemon world. The thing that everybody does. You get your high school exams done. Your Pokemon adventure begins when you're 10. So your mother sends a 10-year-old child into the wilderness to fight pigeons.
Yeah.
But never before you're greeted by the professor. Professor Oak.
No, the only one, the most recent one I think I played was Y, and I put a few hours into it, but not loads.
Y was probably my least favorite generation.
Really?
Y and X. I'm probably going to get a lot of grief for that because it's a lot of people's favorites.
I was impressed with it.
I think X and Y were the first ones to come out on the 3DS, so they were, a lot more advanced.
It had a big bird on the front of it.
Yeah, and there's also the X one's the one with a deer on it.
Right. Okay.
No, is it?
Birdie Odo or something it was called.
I can't even remember the names of the legendary Pokemon. That one
is
bad. No, it was the first one where they had 3D graphics. Points, you'd be walking through a city and you get like a skyscraper poking your eye out, so you're like, oh, what's that? But to come away from Pokemon, my first actual console was the Nintendo 64. The one that I owned first.
A good one.
I was exposed to the Sega Mega Drive. My uncle had one, and I would go around there all the time. Sonic, the pretty just standard games, Sonic, Sega Rally.
How did you react then after having the N64? And as far as you were concerned, this is how controllers looked.
Yeah, that was.
And then you went from the 64 to, I assume, a real controller.
I don't know if it was my child ignorance, but the N64 was the greatest controller ever made.
What am I supposed to do with my third hand?
You worked out a way. You could always do something and hold it a funky way. Not the way it was ever intended to be held, but yeah.
Oh my goodness.
The N64 controller is a bit of a joke, but thankfully the only games I played in it were...
It worked at the time. I can't deny that at the time I absolutely loved it. And people that said it was nonsense, I just dismissed them. These people don't understand. They need to play GoldenEye. Go and try and play GoldenEye now.
It's impossible.
I mean, the game itself hasn't aged well, but with oh my goodness,
The controller,
the controls are horrendous.
Something going back to that controller, it's like you can't ever quite get it how you got it whenever you were playing it originally.
Maybe because your hands are slightly bigger.
Well, yeah,
because you would hold it in the middle a lot more than you would hold it like a normal controller.
I would have been
because
I
a
would
lot
have
of
been in
games were
primary
3D.
school, so I would have been anywhere between the age of 7 and 10 whenever I got it.
Yeah.
So I think there's photos of me with an arm on my chest, and that's how
That's
how it worked.
Yeah.
But yeah, that was Pokemon Stadium.
What was your best game on the 64?
Pokemon Stadium 2 or Pokemon Snap.
Shut up. Actually,
I loved them. Everybody hates Pokemon Snap. Everybody hates on Pokemon Snap.
do you know I would prefer Pokemon Snap because it was like it was technically a real shooter. Yeah, it was a real shooter, so you could have just pretend that
it was just the
you're
stuff
not
you could
taking-
do. There was like a ton of Easter eggs in it. Almost, well, by Easter eggs I mean that they were put in there intentionally, and it was almost your purpose to get these shots.
Yeah.
I think there's like achievement guides the whole way through. So you started out on, I think it was Surf Beach or something, and you could throw an apple, and there's a Pikachu there. You threw an apple, the Pikachu would run towards the apple, it'll start munching it up. Then you throw it again, and it'll do it again, it'll fall. You leave the one straight, and then you throw it onto the surfboard, and the Pikachu jumps up on the surfboard and does his little.
Oh, okay,
yeah.
very good.
So that's what I remember the most of it. And throwing,
Gameplay dynamic.
you could throw like these gas balls in this volcano, and a Charizard would burst out from it as well. That's what I loved about it. Just those little kind of hidden mechanics.
I don't remember it to that extent. I just remember, being on a little train driving around, and there was
That's what it was.
like a
And you're
bird came
taking-
over and you took a picture of it. Yeah, do you know, actually,
It's like being on
I
safari.
like it. Because I didn't really like. I watched the cartoon a little bit when I was younger, but that's my only exposure. My brother was a lot more into it. He had it on the Game Boy Advance and all sorts of stuff. And he would have played Coliseum. He would have preferred that because he knew all the all these different animals and what they could do and what was the best. And he had favorites and stuff. I hadn't, and I would turn this on and it would just be random, like cutesy characters fighting each other, but they weren't really fighting each other. It was kind of it was turn based, so it was like Final Fantasy VII, wasn't it? But without anything else. It was just the battles,
just the turn based battles. That was it, and you walked.
So how did you collect your Pokemon?
You catch them, so you were on this tall grass. So there's parts which is like a path
In Pokemon Coliseum.
In Pokemon Coliseum, I never played Pokemon Coliseum. It's the one I missed, and I've just bought a GameCube.
Oh, sorry, no. Sorry, what are we talking about? Stadium.
Coliseum's
a GameCube.
Well, yeah, Coliseum's a
sorry.
GameCube. Stadium, you never actually caught any Pokemon. You just got given all 151. The idea of Stadium was you were just battling. You picked out your best team. You could do it between level 1 to 50 or 50 to 100, and you would then battle these against one another. And that was it. You didn't do any actual collecting of Pokemon in Pokemon Stadium 1 or 2. But there was mini games in it. The best one was the Magikarp jump. Magikarp's like a little fish.
Oh, no,
and it's just like a Mario Party. You could plug 4 controllers and get 4 people going at it. And the idea of this is just to get your Magikarp jumping high enough so it hits this like clicker, count clicker, and you just
right.
That's
right. Oh, I'm not going to accept that. That's the best. Go ahead. Something else. What's your third best then?
Oh well, what third best game
on the 64?
On the 64. What was it? It's a toss up between the South Park game and Wipeout. I think it is. Wipeout the speedboat.
Wipeout 64.
The speedboat.
Oh, sorry, Wave Race.
Wave Race. That's
Wave Race was okay. Yeah,
I had a lot of fun playing that.
If you put that on now, that actually still looks like a good game.
Yeah,
it's okay. The way the water moves and the sunlight and the lighting effects and stuff is actually quite good. Still, a lot of N64 games don't. I mean, it doesn't suffer from fog as much as something like Turok.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? Like you go back and play Turok now, you can't see more than 10 feet in front of you. It's really, really bad. Like, but no, Wave Race was good. I enjoyed Wave Race. Yeah.
See, my N64 exposure wasn't really big because it was.
Was that an arcade game?
What?
Or I somehow feel like there was an arcade version.
I don't know.
Maybe it might not have been Wave Race. It might have been. God,
this is another dirty confession of mine. I completely missed the arcade generation.
Yeah.
I never played an arcade except for.
They're still out there. Like.
Yeah, there's except for the one on the P&O boat between Larne and Carnryan where there's a plane fighting one. What's it called? Ace Combat? No, not Ace Combat. Ace Combat's a really good game, but no.
Blazing Skies.
Blazing Skies, that's it. Yeah. And I played that for about
it's all right. It's
an hour of the 2-hour journey between there. Just sitting, joystick, just blasting away through it and having the time of my life. Loved it. And then there was actually another time where we actually went to a proper arcade. We were on a tour with rugby and we had like a bit of downtime. We just came out of the cinema and there was just this big arcade. It was somewhere in Edinburgh. I can't remember exactly. But there was a bunch of like Time Crisis games, 1, 2, and 3. My friend Nerps, he apparently knows Time Crisis 2 and 3 by heart because he bought them. That's all he played on the PlayStation 2.
Not 3, but 2.
Yeah.
I'm very, very familiar with 2. Like, yeah.
So
it's great.
we've talked about my hook in the game. What's yours? What got you into it? What was your first console and kind of exposure to it?
Very first game I ever played was the Tiger Electronics.
Tiger Electronics.
Yeah, those little handheld things that were like the cheap version of Game and Watch.
Okay.
My mum and dad didn't have an awful lot of money, so we would. But they were kind of recreations of where Game and Watches would have been not so much recreations, but there would have been you would have seen the inspiration for later Nintendo games. Like there was a Mario one and a Donkey Kong one and stuff. Whereas the Tiger stuff was kind of reactionary to the industry. So these things came out, they were cheaply made. They wouldn't have had the depth, not that there was loads of depth in the Game and Watches, but there wouldn't. It was literally just move across the screen and avoid things coming at you. Yeah. But you would have had a Golden Axe one, there would have been Turtles, there was a Sonic one, there was loads of these things. Like, and they were all licensed and you had the Sega logos on them and stuff.
Yeah, you get in the Game and Watch last week. That was my kind of first time ever seeing one really and getting hands on with it. And I was like, holy crap, this is very, very cool. The Mario one
Game and Watch. I bought them last week.
The Mario one is brilliant because it's got the audio in it, the proper audio in it. Like, so there's even you get the end chime, and then you get the point where it's you go underground and you get the no. I couldn't believe that one. That was unbelievable.
But this is what I'm saying. But the Tiger ones would have nothing like that. I mean, it barely represented. It looked nothing like the game that it had. Like the artwork around it was fantastic, but on the screen was nonsense.
Yeah.
But we would have had those just floating around, and little, I can't remember the name of them. I think they were made by Tommy, but they were sort of, you put them on your eyes like binoculars, and they pointed out, like it looked like a spaceship. And there was a racing one, and there was basically the same thing, but when you looked in it, it was all dark and it lit up, and it was the same basic principle as like the Game and Watches, but instead of it just being a single background, this was a black background with lights,
right? And
you would have controlled the little spaceship flying around. They're fantastic. I'll give you a link to one. They're mad wee things. But we would have had loads of those floating around. But the first console we got was a 2600.
Atari, good.
Good console. It wasn't. It was the VCS actually. It was the Woody. My dad got years ago.
The good one.
I
prefer the look of the Woody.
Yeah, me too, absolutely.
It's a bit of vintage in it.
Do you know what? It's one of the. It's not worth an awful lot of money. It's not that desirable, but it's one of my favorite consoles.
I like it because you could put it on like a whiskey cabinet and it would just blend in perfectly.
Yeah. The VCS is such a nice looking console, but the game's not so much.
Not
very pretty at all. But we had we'd Centipede and we had a few other ones. I think that thing came out in 1977. It would have been probably 1986, maybe 87. So the thing would have been out for a good 10 years when we got it. I'm sure it was secondhand. I can't remember a box. I don't remember how many there was. We had Centipede, and we had another game that you could play 4-player in.
Right. 4-player in the shower?
Yeah.
Really?
I think it's called Warlords, right? And it looked like Breakout, but basically you had a little castle in each 4 corners. Say there was a red, a green, a blue, and a yellow.
Yes.
So it would be me and you 2 other people, and you'd have your little stick with your wee orange button. And all you had to do was kind of like Breakout. You had a little dude, sort of a little paddle that went around the edge, and there was a ball flying around, and inside you had to protect your castle. So you had to keep the ball in play and not let it hit your thing.
So it's like a 4-player Pong.
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah.
Is that a good way to describe
fantastic
it?
Game.
That does sound, I can see how that would be a lot of fun.
Best thing about it, we only had one control pad. We had one little joystick.
So did you just pass it around, or how did it work?
We just didn't play that game.
All right,
but we had cousins that lived a town or 2 over, and they would come and visit, and they would bring a couple of things, and so we'd get a go at it. I didn't play it. It's just one of those games. It's it sticks in your mind, and the 4-player multiplayer locally sitting on an Atari 2600. Yeah,
I'm just trying to think what my first kind of experience of split screen was. No, I played FIFA and I played the wrestling games. You play them 2-3 player. That's fine. That was PlayStation 2 era, so it was like getting that kind of base for it, and the 4 plugs.
I can't think. Was there many split screen games even for the 16-bit era? It wasn't until maybe the Saturn and the PlayStation that you would have got like racing games.
Yeah, but even my first 4-player game, it was probably Pokemon Stadium with the Magikarp and the 4, because it was so easy because there was 4 plugs on the N64.
Yeah.
So it was pretty straightforward. Honestly, I couldn't tell you. I think my first split screen game was maybe Colin McRae or something, or Call of Duty 4 even. That could have been my first 4-player split screen.
Colin McRae really didn't have split screen.
Did it not?
I'm going to just jump in and just I don't know. I'm pretty sure that you had to do a turnabout.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Because it was Colin McRae Rally.
I think you're right. You got one go at the track and then you.
I'm sorry for correcting you.
No, but there was definitely some kind of racing game. There was some racing game I had that was 4-player split screen. I can almost remember it maybe like a Need for Speed or something, because you'd be racing at the same time. You'd need a split screen.
Do you know at the start? Yeah, at the start of the PlayStation era, link cables were a big thing. Like Destruction Derby, you couldn't play 2-player in Destruction Derby. You had to get a link cable.
I had all the link cables.
Yeah,
for
again,
Pokemon.
I hope I'm not wrong there. I'm fairly sure I'm right there. That if you wanted to play the original Destruction Derby, you needed a link cable to play 2-player.
Twisted Metal.
Oh yeah,
that's it. Twisted Metal.
Yeah.
Has to be Twisted Metal.
Oh,
unbelievable game. So much fun. See, going back and playing it on that PS Classic, that was so much fun. I really enjoy it.
Yeah.
The PlayStation Classic, the amount of grief that it got at launch, deserved.
Twisted Metal's a horrible looking game. Like
it is, but you don't remember it as a horrible looking game. That's the problem with it.
Well, I still play a lot of these games, but it is horrible looking, and the controls are mental in the sense that the cars control almost like a what do you call them? Like a dodgems, like a bumper car. So if you turn the wheel as far, it'll kind of go backwards. So if you could hold down and left and right, and it would turn the car really sharply, you know. And see when you try and play that game nowadays and try and line your car up to do things, it's almost impossible. But at the time, I loved that game. I loved it. I remember we used to pick Mr. Grimm, the dude on the motorbike, because he shot like a big head at people.
Oh yeah.
And it used to take like half their health off them. Yeah.
That's
and
brilliant.
the last boss was called Minion.
Never made it that far.
I think so.
It
was like a big
I should maybe go back and clock
APC
that game.
thing.
Yeah.
You had to fight him on the top of a building. Oh, I love that game so much. I played it so much. And a friend of mine got number 2, and I only had the first one. And I was so jealous because there was a guy in that one that was just a man, but holding 2 big wheels.
Right, okay.
I think actually, is it 2 or World Tour that's on the PlayStation? I don't think it's number 1.
I'm not sure. I only knew the first one. I haven't even looked at any of the other ones.
Yeah.
You know, because at that point I was not even a teenager, so all my games were brought to me by my mum and dad.
That's crazy.
You know what I mean? It was brilliant. They'd just go to the market and pick up some hooky ones.
Yes.
Got the PlayStation 1 chipped. That was it.
There wasn't too many people didn't have their PlayStation 1 chip.
CD keys, or just CDs printed with the game on it. There you go.
That's it. Oh, it was crazy. And then it even spread to the Dreamcast. Because you could get the Bleamcast and run your PlayStation games on the Dreamcast as well. The piracy back then was fantastic.
Brilliant. It was, yeah. And then now they have all these modern things. Like I'm pretty sure the PlayStation 3 has no. There was a retro console. It had like some kind of warp in its disc somewhere that would pick it up as the activation, and that's how you activated the game. If it didn't have that little warp in the disc, you weren't playing it.
Oh really?
Yeah, I can't remember what it was though. It could have been the Saturn.
Really?
Could have been. I'm just thinking about the kind of first disc era consoles.
There's a fairly handy way to mod a Saturn where the little cartridge, the memory cartridge at the back. I don't know the details of it. I just from talking to people on forums and internet and things. There's a lot of people especially because the Saturn is it's amazing. It's a fantastic console. The controller's brilliant, and if you like 2D games, if you like 2D arcade, if you like arcade games, and it's just absolutely fantastic. But you want to get into the Japanese games market for the Saturn. Yeah, they're a lot cheaper, right? But they're quite hard to get, and you need a region-free Saturn or Japanese one. They're region locked those. But I know a lot of people have done something using the little memory cartridges that you can put in the back that allows you to play all these games. I don't know if it works like an EverDrive or something like that. It probably does.
Who knows? Well, obviously somebody knows, but not me.
But here, where were you? You were talking about your 64. Right. So what was next?
64. Next after 64, PlayStation 1, PlayStation 2, PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4.
You're a fanboy, yeah.
And I did have the original Xbox. I did have the original Xbox. But the games I got for the original Xbox, there was only one good one that I got, and it was Abe's Odyssey.
I have to say I didn't appreciate the Xbox when it first came out.
No, I don't like. See,
I didn't like the controller.
The controller was fat. It had 2 big slots in the back for God knows what. I never used them.
Memory cards? No.
Was it memory? I don't know.
Maybe.
Maybe a rumble pack. Yeah. I had the stupid black and white buttons that whenever you squeezed them too hard, the controller would snap.
You could rinse them because they're like down here.
Makes the N64 controller look ergonomic.
No, it doesn't. No. I'd rather have the original Xbox controller. Yeah. I think if talking about worst mainstream controllers, I definitely think the 64 is worst, and then the Dreamcast. The big fat Dreamcast
one where the cable comes out of the bottom.
The bottom?
Yeah. Because who sits and plays?
Because everybody puts their Dreamcast behind them, you know. That's it. Runs the cable through their. That's absolute madness. I don't know what they were thinking doing that. But you can buy really, really nice third-party ones, and the controller comes out the top. If you have the money, you can get what's known as an ASCII pad,
Right.
and it's just a D-pad.
Brilliant.
It's kind of like a white Saturn pad, and they're fantastic, but they're very expensive. And the core comes out the top.
Yeah.
So they do.
That's probably the peak of it. The cord coming out the top.
So then on the PlayStation, what did you play on the PlayStation?
PlayStation 1, Spider-Man, Bug's Life. Loved the Bug's Life.
Yeah.
There was a part in it where you're at the very, very start. You do the kind of first collecting, you go get your leaves and blah, blah, you bring them back to the colony, and then the grasshoppers strike. They come bashing through your colony, and you're like, running around. And then I got really scared, so I actually had to get my mum to get me past this part. It was like in a dark tunnel, and every so often the grasshopper's foot would come through, like, bah! And you're like, oh.
Isn't it so funny when you think about sort of retro gaming and your old stuff that you used to play when you were younger, that there's so many games that you were exposed to then that you had a different standard.
Yeah.
And at the time, they were fantastic, and you loved them, and you have these really just great memories of it.
Yeah.
And then to someone else, or even like if you had never been exposed to these, if I was to hand them to you today, like for example, Bug's Life.
Yeah,
if you had never played that and I gave you, try Bug's Life on PS1.
what are you
No,
talking about?
get away.
Yeah.
You know, give me some kind of crazy arcade post-apocalyptic thing instead. Yeah.
PlayStation was my first exposure to a light gun. That was my first exposure to it. It was Die Hard.
Oh yes, Die Hard Trilogy.
Yeah,
yes.
Die Hard Trilogy.
The second Die Hard 2 was that was great.
It was fun.
That was great.
We went round to my mum and dad's friend's house, and it was just after Christmas, and his wife had just bought him a light gun with the Die Hard Trilogy, and we were just like, me and my dad were amazed, like, oh my god, this is, oh wow.
That was so
wow.
good.
Because my dad was a gamer whenever he was growing up, but he just kind of came out of it because, you know, some people just fall out of it.
Like most people who aren't weirdos like you.
He just kind of fell out with it, but then whenever I came along and I started growing up a bit and I started getting the game, he kind of put himself back into it, you know. He got a PC and he loved it. It had, what was the spec of it? It was a dual core processor. Loved it. It was like, this is the best PC you're ever going to have in your life. This is the best PC you'll ever have in your life. Dual core processor, 70 gigabytes hard drive.
Nice.
Loved it. And 1 gigabyte of RAM, started out at 512 megabytes of RAM. He said, I paid a lot of money for that RAM. 512 megabytes, that's a lot of RAM.
Yeah.
Nobody's ever going to need any more than that.
It's a screaming. I remember we had a Pentium 2 compact Presario. It was the first PC.
That is it.
Yeah.
That is it. That is spot on what my dad bought as well.
It was a white thing with a huge monitor with big speakers on the side. Yeah, and it was the first PC that I ever played backups on.
Windows XP, games, Dig Dug. Let's go. I love Dig Dug.
It had Minesweeper, didn't it?
Minesweeper, Dig Dug, Pac-Man,
yeah.
the pinball game. Everybody loved the pinball. It was so good.
Yeah.
And then I got sucked into Habba Hotel.
Do you know why I really enjoyed pinball games when I was younger? It was something that my dad was really, really into, and he got me into them. So when that Windows game came out, it wasn't
Didn't do
good
it for you. Yeah.
Like I was playing I love Crew Ball on the Sega Mega Drive, where you beat sort of skeletons back.
Yeah.
And the more you play the game, the higher the level you get, and the more he cranks up his TV, and it gets louder and louder, and eventually you blow up the entire world because you're just cranking Motley Crue.
Yeah, that was my first pinball game, was the one on Windows, and then Pokemon Pinball. Pokemon Pinball.
I've never played it.
It has such a unique feature to it.
Yeah.
You can catch the Pokemon. So you do the whole level. It's all themed to be those Pokemon. You beat it. Then you get a chance to catch it. You can miss and you can completely lose it. And then you move on to the next one. You've just lost that Pokemon.
Yeah.
But the catching mechanic in it gave it just like a second element of, I'm actually playing pinball for a reason other than the score.
Yeah. I thought the score was enough for me.
Yeah, the score was enough. This blew my mind whenever I say I used to love it.
That is kind of cool though. But then again, it was like I really liked Crew Ball because there was a break in there was almost like he could beat the game.
Yeah.
You know, there was an end. Whereas, most pinball games, it's just about chasing the points. Yeah.
It's not the best ball game. The best ball game is that one on the NES. What's it called? Is it just called Balls, where you just Marble Madness?
It's a great game.
It really is so much fun.
It's difficult, but it's great. You want to try and play that on the arcade? It's fantastic. There's a big cabinet with like a rolling ball.
Yeah,
and you roll it with your hand.
God.
It's fantastic.
That's so
it's
cool.
so good. Like it is so good.
Beats the NES little kind of.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
The NES version was okay.
It was pretty good.
I'm pretty sure that came out Did that come? I'm nearly sure that went all the way to PlayStation 1.
Did it?
Marble Madness. There was some, yeah. It might have been a reboot or a remake, but I'm pretty sure there was like it did. There was ports from the arcade to the NES, and I think the Sega Master System and the Mega Drive both got it as well. But then I'm nearly sure that there was a slightly more modern version of it was made. Excuse me, that I've never played, and I would like to. Yeah.
So what came after your Atari 2600?
Oh, yeah.
Was it like a?
I suspect my dad
Spectrum or something.
Yeah, well, yeah, I suspect my dad stepped on the 2600, and because he was a gamer, it wasn't long before we had a new one. But we ended up with a Spectrum. Now, I think it was a 128 because it didn't look like a Spectrum. It wasn't like the little Spectrum with the rubber buttons. It was a big thing with a tape deck on it. It looked like the Amstrad, so it must have been post, that merger or them buying them out. But it only had a black and white screen, so it was sort of, well, I say black and white, it was black and green. It was like the Matrix,
it's kind of like the Game Boy screen.
Yeah, except that there was a backlight on it, so you didn't have to shine a torch at your monitor. Like
driving home in those car drives late at night, you're waiting for every single street light. Like
that's so true. That's right. And you kind of just in between street lights.
God forbid you ever reach.
No control.
God forbid you ever reach for the light in the car. Mum and Dad straight away turn it on. Get the light off. It's illegal to drive with the light off. That's right, and then when you grow up, you find out that's the biggest lie ever. You're allowed to drive with your light on in your car. Your mum and dad lied to you. You're allowed to drive with your light on in your car.
Is this one of these things? Because the
reading lights. Why does the driver have a reading light?
But my mum told me years ago I wanted an Etch-a-Sketch. My mum said no, you can't have an Etch-a-Sketch because the stuff that's in the Etch-a-Sketch is poisonous.
Right. Okay.
Right. Because like sometimes adults will tell kids nonsense just to kind of get them to shut up. But then what they don't realize is you end up taking this knowledge in the adulthood and you repeat it to somebody.
Yeah.
And they look at you like you're some kind of weirdo. So that might be. So that's another one.
Yeah, you're allowed to drive with the light on. Yeah.
Up until 5 minutes ago, I thought it would have.
Except you were that age whenever you found out.
No way. No way.
It is.
That's fantastic.
They're the biggest liars.
Amazing. Yeah, so we had the Spectrum, played loads of stuff, Manic Miner. That was when it was that console that got me into side-scrolling shmups. We had R-Type and a game called Salamander. It was absolutely fantastic. So when our first home console that really, really got me into I knew at this point that games were everything. Yeah. Was the Master System. And my dad bought me. It came with the light gun with Safari Hunt and Hang On. I had a game called Poseidon 3D. There was a sort of shooting beachhead type game. So you had little 3D glasses and all, and it was sort of 3D. It was kind of cool. But it was Transbot. There was a little game called Transbot. You can pick it up for £2 or £3 now. It's not expensive. And it's a side-scrolling shoot 'em up where you're sort of like a little transformer type guy. Yeah. And you can pick up power-ups. So it's not just your weapons that you're powering up, but you can change your ship into different things. And I was addicted to this game. Yeah. I remember one of my friends telling me that they never wanted to play with me ever again because all I wanted to do was play my Master System. And I was like, I don't care, I'll play Transpot. And he goes, well, you're going to get bored of that. And I was like, no.
Watch me.
And do you know I still have them? I swear I still have them. I'm 37 years old and I still play Transpot. Nice. I love that game. It's so good. But yeah, I mean, from that there, we moved on to the Mega Drive.
Yeah, that would be the first console that I've...
In terms of the earliest
that we can relate to, yeah.
Oh right, okay.
This is the earliest console
I've played. You've played the NES and stuff in my house.
Yeah, I've played them all now. But growing up, and being completely exposed to games and being almost forced to play them hours on hours because that's what you have. Yeah, I mean, like you don't go. Personally, I don't go back to these old retro games and play them to death. So I mean, I'll play for an hour and get the gist off. And be
I get that. Cool. Yeah, I get that. Yeah, I totally. There's a. Especially for modern gamers, the difficulty settings on the older games are ridiculous. It's like someone hitting you in the face with a hammer. It's just, what the hell?
That's because they're all designed to be like coin suckers in the arcade.
So I mean, the whole thing was if you find a game really, really easy, like for example, like Streets of Rage 2, I've played Inside Out. Yeah, I mean, I can play that on the hardest difficulty level by myself, and I'll beat that in a couple of hours. Imagine you bought that in a shop for £50. You got it home and you clocked it in 2 or 3 hours.
That'd be awful.
You'd be straight back to the shop. So they make them so difficult
that you have to spend time.
So that you need to learn how to play the game. And then, but I remember, I forget who it was. It was some comedian was talking about it, and this idea of games is totally different from any other media. That if you buy a video or if you buy a book and you don't like the part that you're on, you can skip to the back of the book. It's your book.
It's Darren O'Brien said it.
Okay,
it was Darren O'Brien.
But you buy a game and you want to play the last levels, like, no, tough shit, you're not good
Yeah,
enough.
exactly,
Sorry,
yeah.
I don't care if you paid the money.
At least
tough
whenever
shit.
you paid money for a book, you skip right to the end. There's the ending. Happy days.
Whereas, nowadays games practically hold you by the hand. They want you, the developers want you to experience every second of the game and explore the world and see all the little nooks and
they're trying to
crannies
show
they've
off
created.
what they've created.
Absolutely, and it totally makes sense. And I love modern gaming, don't get me wrong. But
you get immersed in it. It's crazy.
Yeah.
It's not like the older games where you get sucked into it because you want to beat it. You're like, I need to beat this game. This has made a fool of me.
yeah,
I'm
totally.
not going to let it win.
Personal, it really does.
And
yeah,
the modern games are like, come, this is my
Yeah.
hand. This is where you need to go. We follow this light, and you will make it,
Thunder
and you will
Force
enjoy
4.
your experience.
Thunder Force 4 has been a nemesis of mine for years. I've clocked it for the first time, I think about a month ago.
Really?
Yeah, sad. She was, watching some shit on the TV. So I have another little CRT hooked up next to the main TV. So I sat and I just fired it up and was sitting playing it, and I was playing it and played it for that long. And we were sitting there that long that I ended up, I beat it. I couldn't believe it. And at the end, I didn't know what to think. The whole thing with it is I don't know if you've ever played Thunder Force 4. There's the last boss is a nightmare.
Right.
This thing that flies up the screen and then comes straight down at you and smashes against, and you're a little plane and you can move around and you just have to, but it's so hard to avoid this thing, and you have to get every single precise movement.
There's like a pattern to it you have to follow. Yeah.
Yeah, and the patience is everything. You can't think, well, I've got a little bit of space, I'll maybe try and get an hour, you try and finish them up early. That's how you get beat. You will not finish this thing off early. You have to do it the way the game wants you to.
You have to go for the long
You will
haul.
beat it, and it's horrendous. But yeah, some of them are so difficult and it becomes personal. Definitely.
Yeah, absolutely, yeah.
Like I hate Thunder Force 4. I love it. It's brilliant. But if it was a
It's your
person, I
nemesis.
would punch it.
Yeah.
It's just made a fool of me so many times. Streets of Rage 3 is another one. I've never completed Streets of Rage 3. I don't know
Me
why.
either. Yeah, I've never completed 1, 2, or 3.
No, but I've played it so many. I don't actually own it. That's another reason. Because it's very
Game that I
it's
could
very
never,
expensive.
The games I could never get past whenever I was growing up. Grand Theft Auto.
No way.
I finished my first Grand Theft Auto 6 years ago with Grand Theft
Shut
Auto 5.
up.
Yeah, that was the only one
No
I've ever
way.
finished.
They're not hard games.
They're not hard now. I could go back and play San Andreas if I had the patience for it. I could
But it
sit and
gives you
play
the
and finish it.
opportunity to go off, and it's not, in old games, you're just right. This is the level, off you go.
Yeah.
You have everything you need. Whereas in Grand Theft Auto, you're able to go off and build all the things that you require. You can go and get all the weapons,
Yeah,
body
you can
armor,
build yourself
everything
up,
you
yeah.
need to go and rinse this. This is just a series of games I've never found difficult. I love them though.
Yeah,
Fantastic.
they're
Yeah.
great games.
But what was next? What was on there? Oh, the Mega Drive.
You're on the Mega Drive, yeah.
Saturn came next.
Sorry,
We were
that's,
Sega fanboys.
that's pretty much everybody's natural progression from the Mega Drive to the Saturn.
I don't know. No,
I think people did, what was around that time?
Well, the Saturn came out first.
It was the first
But
disc one, wasn't it? Was the Saturn the first one to move off? What was the first disc?
There was the Amiga had the Amiga CD32, and then there was the CDO, CDI, 3DO, there was loads, and then the Mega CD, of course.
Oh yeah, the Mega CD, of
Yeah.
course. Yeah, that was great.
Yeah.
The best game in the world's on that.
Yeah,
Road Avenger.
I don't care. It's great. I love it. It's like watching cartoons on a Saturday morning.
I love
It's
it. Yeah,
fabulous.
it's just an interactive cartoon that you
Yeah.
just have to get through. It's brilliant.
Yeah,
I loved it.
do you know the good thing about it? It's one of those games, even though it's really, really, really difficult. You can sit back with your feet up.
Yeah,
You know,
absolutely.
you
just
don't.
enjoy it.
Whereas most modern retro games, you're like sitting forward as far as you
Yeah.
can. You need to be like really concentrating on it. Whereas this, you can just sort of breeze it, and it's kind of cool. Mega CD's full of games like that, little
Yeah.
FMV ones where you just sort of interact with it. Some of them aren't.
It's
as
not
good as Road
something that I'd
Avenger.
really heard of before a few months ago. Whenever you got one,
Aye.
it I'm kind of ignorant to the little special consoles. You know, I know the main ones.
Oh yes, I understand.
You know,
yeah.
I know all the main kind of
Yeah.
classic consoles: the Atari, the Spectrum,
So
Commodore.
you don't know about the Tower of Power?
I don't know about the
Tower of Power.
No, I don't know
Yeah.
about the Tower.
So
of Power.
right, okay. This is good if you don't know it. So anyway, Sega years ago came out with they had the Mega Drive, right,
Mhm.
and then they made the Mega CD. There was all sorts of infighting. I'm not going to go into it. There was all sorts of infighting between Sega America and Sega Japan. One wanted to go with a 32-bit cartridge-based thing, which is where the 32X came from. The Mega CD was the CD version of it,
Yep.
but then there was also the Sega Saturn. So you had these three 32-bit consoles competing with each other. It was a mess. It was
Yeah.
part of the reason the whole thing fell over anyway. But what if you had the Mega Drive 1? You could the Mega CD didn't sit side by side the way mine does. It sits underneath.
Underneath it.
So you had the Mega CD, kind of like the 64 DD.
Oh,
You know, the little, it's almost like a zip cart thing that goes on there. You know,
I know what you're talking
right.
about.
So it sits underneath. It's 64. It doesn't in the UK. It did very briefly in Japan, but you can get these things. Are very expensive. But you had your Mega CD, then you had your Mega Drive, and then you plugged the 32X into the top of it. Then you had Sonic and Knuckles, and then you had Sonic 1, 2, or 3 bang into the top of Sonic and Knuckles.
What?
So this thing sat about that high off the table. It's mad, right? So that's not it. So they've released this new mini classic Mega Drive, right?
Yep.
And it has 40 games built in?
25?
No, there's more than that.
Is there?
There's a lot on it. Like, should they released it in batches of 10? I think it's 40.
Could be. We'll have to check. Nobody knows.
I think it's 40. It's literally just out. So you had right. So what they've done, and this is not a word of a lie. You can Google this. They've released the Tower of Power for your mini Mega Drive. Right.
Okay.
So you can get the 32X add-on. You can get the Mega CD add-on. Right.
Can you get the Sonic and Knuckles and then the?
No, because they're so small.
Oh, of course.
They don't actually work. They're just for show.
No way.
I swear.
So they're not actually.
You
don't get like Mega CD games in the Mega CD part, and you don't. Oh my god.
And you don't get 32X.
So it's purely aesthetic, just for the meme.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I want it.
Yeah, so do I.
I really, really want it. I've seen people on Facebook and everybody that posts this is like, they're almost embarrassed to say that they've bought this. Oh yeah, look, I get sucked in too. But the thing is, it's class. It's
it
so
looks
good, and it's like it's the only ones that I've seen come in the Japanese Mega Drive with the sort of ND, you know, the green and red, with like sort of checkerboard on it. It's not like the UK stuff that we'd be used to, the black with the Sonic, you know, in the front of. This is completely different. It's a wee white box. So sitting on the shelf, it wouldn't really match. So you'd have to have the console out and have it all sitting up to look right. But wouldn't it be? How cool would it be if like they brought out little small discs for the Mega CD? Do you know, like UMDs?
Yeah, I get that would be.
Or like
UMD.
GameCube games.
Yeah, GameCube games. Yeah. That would be pretty good.
And then you could have like.
That's a bit of a con though, because you've bought this Mega CD that you can't use.
A con, strong word.
No, come on, that's.
Well, because they're
unless
not
they
telling you.
I suppose they tell you that it's no games on it, I guess.
Yeah.
I guess it's for collectors, really.
Do you know what it's kind of like? It's not, but it's kind of like Link's Awakening Collector's Edition coming with the steelbook that looks like a Game Boy.
Yes.
It's not a real Game Boy, but it looks like a Game Boy, so it gives you that nostalgia for collectors.
I'm kind of liking these Nintendo steelbooks that are coming out. I think the Switch steelbook. I think this is they did some for the 3DS. I know they did Pokemon Ultra Moon and Pokemon Ultra Sun.
Really?
With
the you like the steelbook, don't you?
I do like the steelbooks, yeah. But this is they're kind of moving now into making steelbooks for every game. I think Super Mario Maker had one, which is the big yellow cube with the red question mark in it. I think so. Don't quote me on that.
Okay.
But I think so. I know Pokemon Sword and Shield, I have it pre-ordered with the gold steelbook.
Do you have to get the collector's editions to get the steelbooks, or can you buy the steelbooks afterwards?
Well, the Pokemon one's pretty good because the games are £50 each. Mm-hmm. The steelbook, the special edition, is £100, and you get both games. So you get both the cases as well. So you get the 2 cases for the original games, and you get the steelbook one with some artwork, and I think there's a few other things in it. So it's not, it's pretty good for the price because I was going to be buying the 2 of them anyway. So the fact that I can spend the same amount of money and get more, I'm pretty happy about.
I wonder, is there a steelbook in that SNK collection?
Oh,
I don't know.
That'd be interesting.
It's sealed. I haven't opened it.
You haven't opened it? No.
I don't know. I really want to play it, but I haven't opened it.
I was almost buying Link's Awakening, the special edition, for 100 just so I could keep it sealed and just put it away somewhere and forget about it.
Yeah.
I'm not really that interested in Legend of Zelda. I've played Twilight Princess. I enjoyed it. I thought it was a good game, actually.
Same. Yeah.
Played Wind Waker. Absolutely love Wind Waker, mostly for the art style. And I played I'm currently playing
Wind Waker
Breath
is
of the
the
Wild.
one.
The cartoony one.
Yeah, but maybe I'm wrong here. But I think most fans don't like that one because of how it was teased out.
Exactly.
Isn't that right?
Yeah.
Like it showed you this big fight, and it was all sort of, I don't know, like kind of looked like Twilight Princess.
Yeah.
You know, that kind of art style,
sort
of more realistic. And then when the game dropped, it was like a wee pastel colored cartoon where he had a head like Hey Arnold.
Well, he's actually got his own. I'm pretty sure he's got his own Smash character called Toon Link. I'm pretty sure Toon Link is the one from Breath of the Wild. Or not, sorry, Breath of the Wild. Wind Waker.
Yes.
Because there's Young Link. There's Breath of the Wild Link.
Is that Smash that I've seen that in? Is Mario Kart the same? No. No, it's not.
No, Mario Kart. You've got different ones across the versions. So the latest one, Mario Kart.
You can just have different clothes. I think you can have the green garb or the blue from Breath of the Wild.
Exactly. Yeah. So you can swap your character out that way. Obviously Nintendo, they're gonna cash in and Legend of
Just
Zelda.
stick-
They just stick them in everywhere.
What's the point of like owning different Nintendo games when everybody's in every
Everything.
game?
Yeah, exactly. When did Mario have his last actual game himself? Mario Kart, Mario Party.
Mario Odyssey. There's Luigi in that.
Is it no?
No, it's your 2-player. Is one person controls the hat.
Yeah,
I've never played.
I
a game
I never bought into that.
It is so desperately needing DLC, that game. It's
Is it
it's
dying?
fun. No, it's fun. But when you think of other main Mario games, like Mario 3D World on the Wii U was spectacular. It was such a good game. 64 is great. Sunshine, I wasn't much of a fan of the gimmick of the what. And this is what Odyssey feels like to me. It feels like Sunshine. It's just you've got this hat. But it's kind of like, I mean, this is going to sound harsh, but I genuinely feel like if it wasn't Mario and it was just a random generic character and it was released on, say, the PS4 and the Xbox One,
Get lost in the wind.
it would have been in the bargain bin by now, and nobody, it's not.
Well, that's the point of
There's
having
not
an IP
enough-
like Mario. It just sells.
Exactly.
You can
if the
put
character
Mario
sells,
on
it does
anything. You can put The Legend of Zelda on anything. Doesn't matter if it's a steaming heap
don't
of
get me wrong.
shit.
There's some
Somebody's gonna
spectacular
buy it.
parts in the game.
Yeah.
There's great little sort of 2D bits. The nostalgia factor is massive. In the sense that, like, Pauline is the mayor of, what's it called, Metro City or something, whatever the name of the little human
Right. Okay. Yeah.
world that you go to. It's like New York City, but the mayor is Pauline from
Who's Pauline?
from Donkey Kong.
No.
So
I missed I've
that's
missed
not
Donkey
Peach.
Kong.
The girl that you save in Donkey Kong isn't Peach. It's Mario's girlfriend, Pauline.
Mario's a player, isn't
Yeah,
he? He's got Peach and Pauline.
Genuinely, yeah, it really is. So this is like, and then in that section, there's a whole 2D Donkey Kong section where
Right.
2D Donkey Kong from the original Donkey Kong games there, and you have to make your way around it, and you get this whole ridiculously cheesy song
Right. Okay.
where she sings and Mario dances.
Lovely.
And it's cringe. Oh my goodness. But I don't know, but they get away with it. It's Nintendo.
Yeah,
you know,
Nintendo
you're
get away with
it's-
anything,
it's-
can't
It is kind of cool when it's on a Nintendo console. Somehow, if that game came out on the PlayStation and it was like Bobby the Plumber's adventure through the world,
Nobody's gonna buy it.
nobody bet.
Yeah.
You know.
So we both are Sony fanboys. Well, we go as far as say Sony fanboys.
I have no allegiance to any console.
We both
I really
we
don't.
both enjoy the PlayStation.
Right now, I am I'm flat out on the Xbox One. Like,
Yeah,
I was
that's
going
right.
to say something completely different there. Like, flat out on it.
You've just gotten your hands on an Xbox One and the Xbox Game Pass just dropped for what was it, £1 for 3 months?
Now the thing was, right now, I had an Xbox One because I'm just a sucker. I buy new consoles when they come out. I have to own them. So I got the Xbox One. Played the Xbox One for a fair bit. It was okay. Played Gears 4 and a few bits and pieces. Wasn't really that into it. Saw that they were reducing prices like it did last gen. Got rid of my Xbox and then eventually went to the idea being that I would buy, say, the X next gen when it drops in price.
yeah,
and then
when
I
it
played
drops in
all
price.
the
Yeah.
games that I didn't experience. But because Game Pass is down £2 for 2 months.
It was 3 months, I think you get with it. I think their opening offer is like £1 for 3 months or something. Really cheap.
The one that I got, right, because I got a little card
Mm-hmm.
with Gears 5.
Right.
Another friend of mine bought Gears 5 and he gave me the little card because he already had it, so he didn't need it. So I
Yeah.
got the little code for 2 weeks free Game Pass. And then I added on the two for £2. So the way it works is they charge you £2 for the first month, and the next month you get free. The third month they'll start charging. The funny thing is, it's still only like £8, whereas the PlayStation equivalent, the PS Now, is like £12, £13.
$11.99 a month. I'm not a fan
But
of the
Game Pass
PlayStation
gives
Now.
you AAA titles the day they release.
Yeah, that's the same with
The Gears 5
Origin
was on it.
Access. Origin Access is the same. You can pay for the standard one, which you'll get the last edition. So the FIFAs, for example, you'll get 18 whenever 19 comes out.
Yeah.
You'll get 20 whenever, or you'll get
Oh,
19
yeah.
whenever 20 comes out,
Yeah.
you know. And you'll get some of the games like Battlefield 1, Battlefield 5. They'll come out maybe 4 or 5 months after release on it.
And what's that on? Only in the PC?
You can get it on PlayStation now as well.
Okay.
Yeah. It's on
Alright.
PlayStation now. But originally it was only PC. The PC one you could pay, I think it was £70 for the year. And you got all the latest titles as they came out, as and when they came out, the highest edition of them. So I did it last year and I got Battlefield 5 Legendary Edition, got the FIFA Ultimate Edition, I got the Madden games as well.
I remember you talking about
I
this,
got
actually.
really
Yes,
into this thing. I
uh-huh.
really, really enjoyed it. And then I just didn't renew it because I didn't play them. You know, I got my money's worth out of it, but now I have really no interest in FIFA 20. I have no interest in the new Madden games.
No.
And the Battlefield games are just
I'm going to put it out there now that football games, sports games, anything like that, you should not get a yearly increment.
No, it should just be DLC.
Yeah, exactly. You know, release a game and then release a new game, say 3 or 4 years later, but update the squads, update whatever. You know, every
even
year.
If you have to pay like maybe like a £20 package for it, instead of paying a full £50 for it.
They're never going to change while people keep buying the new version every year.
The other thing is FIFA has FIFA Ultimate Team, which is microtransactions. You open up a pack, you build your team.
I just find it such a waste of money.
Yeah, you put maybe like £80 into it. That's what a lot of people will do. And then they'll open up all their packs. They'll get their team. They'll play the game. They'll get their coins. They'll keep progressing in their team. And then you start again next year.
I do play sports games. I do. I play PES all the time.
There's nothing wrong with it. They're a good way to just kind of switch off.
It's great. But I'm playing 2017 at the minute. So 2018, sorry, I'm playing at the minute. 2020's just dropped, and I think I'm going to buy it. So I would maybe go every other year, or maybe even every 3 years. I mean, I don't know if anybody plays it, but there's it's like a master league. So you start as it's almost like a career running a football team. You play the matches, and I'm up to 30 odds.
Wow.
Like.
So Lionel Messi and Cristiano Ronaldo are now the respective managers of Real Madrid and Barcelona.
No,
that's what legends do now. They just become managers.
Well, they in this game they retire and come back as themselves, like at 16 years old. Yeah. So at the minute I have in my squad, I play as Tottenham. So I have Harry Kane, and he's 17.
Brilliant.
Yeah,
a young Harry Kane.
He played right up until he was like 38.
And then retired, and then he comes back, reincarnation.
Yeah, and he's lethal. He's like 17, and he's one of the best strikers in the game already. But yeah, no, I just think that's such a waste of money.
The whole subscription thing's kind of it works if you're willing to pass off owning the game. So once my subscription finished, I no longer had access to Battlefield 5 or any of the FIFAs.
Don't get me wrong. It's not for me. It's not sustainable. I'm not going to like my game. It's not all of a sudden right. Forget everything else. I'm just going to use Xbox Game Pass. Mm-hmm. I'm going to play as much Xbox games as I can in the next 2 months.
Yeah, and get it rinse and stop.
Metro Exodus. There's the later of the two the later two of the 3 new Tomb Raiders I have to play. Just Cause 4, I want to go through Rare Replay because it's a game that I never got to try out when I had the Xbox. And I just I do love the 64.
You just got through the Gears games, didn't you? You're coming on to
yes, I played 1, 2, and 3. I wanted to start 4 on Friday, but I started Forza Horizon 4.
Yeah, you've been hooked on Forza. Yeah, Forza's a great racing game.
There's nothing else in the world.
The F1 games are kind of similar to it, but in terms of realism and how it works. But I think Forza's
it's the RPG element, owning businesses, buying property.
Yeah, there's a lot
exploring.
more to it.
It's fantastic, and because it's set in the UK, you can relate to it. So there's a lot of times where you're like getting like a 1992 Ford Fiesta. And just driving around the countryside, but not even just driving around the countryside,
just
and
enjoying it.
It feels like you're going on holiday. You know, you're just like driving around the Lake District, and then you've got Edinburgh and stuff like this, and the road signs come up, and it's stuffy. Yeah, it's a fantastic game. It's a fantastic game. But yeah, if I was going to say if it was a fanboy of anything, it would probably be Sega, just because of when I was younger. That was serious business.
Sonic was your guy.
Yeah. Sonic was my type bro.
He was your Ash Ketchum.
Yeah, I'd have started a fight with you if you said Mario was better than Sonic. But as an adult, I'm not. I don't have any affiliation with anything. I just chase games. I would have favorite developers.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, there was
like id.
Yeah,
I do love an id game. Doom.
Absolutely. Yeah, I mean, I would just say Bethesda because. Like I love Skyrim and stuff as well.
Yeah, Bethesda are really good publishers. They pick really good games to go behind.
Anything with a Bethesda logo on it, I'll play it. Yeah.
Bethesda and it did a lot of work together. It's really.
But then you've like Rockstar. Look, does anybody not stop when Rockstar decides they're announcing a new game?
It's true, but I'm falling out with Rockstar at the minute.
Why?
They've just they've removed the Rockstar Social Club from PC, and they have now created the Rockstar Games Launcher, which is going to be an absolute nightmare. But I'm kind of hoping it's in preparation for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Oh, coming to PC. Yeah, because we've been talking about consoles the entire time.
Yeah, I'm a PC gamer. Really, that's where my allegiance lies. Truthfully, I own a PlayStation 4 Pro, and I don't own any Xbox consoles just because I can play all those Xbox games on my PC, but I'm definitely more inclined to play on PC games. So like World of Warcraft strategy games, I'm kind of okay with strategy games like Age of Empires. That'd be my.
Yeah, RTS games would be. I would go to the PC for those.
Yeah, there's no way you can do all that with a controller. It's just too difficult. And then
I have tried.
MMORPGs, they're starting to come on the consoles like Elder Scrolls Online and Fallout 76, but I think
Neither
MMORPGs
I
really live on
enjoyed.
PC.
I have to say, I didn't enjoy them.
I didn't enjoy either of them either. I didn't think they were great. I played the Elder Scrolls Online at launch. I never played it again, so I think it's actually become a very good game, but not for me. My MMORPGs just lie with World of Warcraft. I can't play any other ones. I played Black Desert Online, which
And
is
you're on the new vanilla version, aren't you?
yeah, I'm back on the classic. Yeah. So I played. I never got the chance to play classic, so I was always kind of considered as a dirty Pandarian because that's whenever I joined. Whenever the pandas came into the game, that's whenever I started playing World of Warcraft, and that's whenever.
Do you know? I
apparently
remember
really
those ads.
Yeah, I remember that was whenever it was all
actual
easy.
game footage.
Yeah,
I remember that.
that's whenever I started playing, and going back and playing classic WoW, I can see why everybody's so like hateful towards the new ones, because classic vanilla World of Warcraft is so much fun. It's so difficult.
Yeah,
Like in
progression's a lot slower, isn't it?
it's a lot slower. I've been playing for about 4 hours and I'm level 12. In 4 hours in the normal one, I could be level 30 or 40. It's not that quickly actually.
It matches the sort of modern the generations that
Yeah.
are coming in. They want the type of people that are going to experience it for the first
Yeah,
time.
I actually had to
aren't going
download.
to enjoy the vanilla version. They're younger. This is the age of instant gratification. You know, you've websites like apps like Just Eat or Tinder that you can just get whatever the hell you want on demand.
Like that, yeah.
So this is the way people expect things to be delivered
Yeah,
to them. And
the classic World
grinding
of
like
Warcraft.
mad.
Classic World of Warcraft doesn't have quest indicators. It'll tell you where a quest is, but it won't tell you where to go for your quest. Whereas in the newer version of it, the latest version, you go to a quest, it tells you exactly where
brings you
everything
right
is.
to it, yeah.
But in the classic, I had to actually get an add-on that did that for me. Yeah,
Is it cheating then?
No, it's not cheating. Add-ons are completely okay.
Oh.
You get quest helpers, you get dungeon helpers.
Oh, these are game things. They're
yeah,
part
they're
of the
just
game.
little add-on. No,
Sorry,
they're not.
okay,
They're
sorry.
third party, and you put them in. But World of Warcraft, and Blizzard,
It's not cheating.
It's
They're
not
third
cheating.
party.
There's
And
third
it's not
party,
cheating.
but it's allowed in the game. Like it's not considered cheating. It's not like I put an aimbot on and played Counter-Strike. I've got this thing that holds my hand.
It's almost like so.
It's like turning the difficulty down. It's like going from hard to
No,
easy.
I would say it's more like if you had, say, for example, you had a wee PlayStation 1 game and it was very, very difficult and you didn't know how to beat it or you couldn't get past the level, you could stick in like an action replay
replay
thing
yeah.
in the back.
Yeah,
That's a third party add on to the game
Yeah, I guess
that
that's a good way of
enables you
putting
to
it. But that's
progress in the game, which is cheating.
no, it's it's part of the culture of World of Warcraft.
but then
Everybody has add-ons.
And I would even say on the PlayStation, because you're playing offline, it's just you. I mean, it's just you and your experience, but you're online with other people.
Everybody else is doing it.
Okay.
It's not cheating. Everybody else does it.
Well, that's like everybody taking drugs at the Olympics.
All right, okay.
If everyone's doing it.
That'd be a really good Olympics. If everybody got
Be
doped
really-
up, it would be a really high-end Olympics.
100 meters in 4 seconds. 8 people have heart attacks at the end of the race.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. So we've talked a lot about retro games and kind of the older ones. You've been playing. You were talking about how you're playing Gears and stuff.
Yeah, flat on that.
And I've been
I
World
want
of
to.
Warcraft.
I want to get into 5, but I'm gonna have to go through 4 first. And do you know 4?
Would you say it's one of your
4
favorite
wasn't-
game series? Gears of War?
Ooh. Do you know what I wouldn't know?
No.
No, I wouldn't. It's one of those games that, see, while you're playing it, it's really, really good. But, and I've said this to a few people, and it tends to be, most people would agree, you forget about it. Once you're over those games and you're on to the next thing, it's out of your mind. Whereas games like The Witcher stay with you forever.
Oh yeah.
You know, like Red Dead Redemption 2, God of War. God, there's so many of those types of games. When you play them, it's just everything.
Yeah.
You know, and you'll put them on a pedestal and compare other things to them. I don't get that with Gears of War. I love Gears of War, but I think the reason why I like it so much is because of like my preferences in terms of modern games are story driven, narrative, things you can get immersed in,
Yeah.
sit back
Yeah,
and
yeah.
really enjoy it.
Last of Us.
Yes,
Red
exactly.
Dead Redemption. And
But
The
then
Witcher.
when it comes to modern games, I prefer. That wasn't what I was into when I was younger.
Yeah.
I didn't like the Zeldas or the Fantasy Stars or anything like that there. I liked arcade games. Go
Yeah,
in
shooting.
and just try and get as good as you can at the game, get the highest score you can, and play the same thing over and over and over and
Yeah.
get better and better and better. And I think Gears of War, although there is story and stuff in it, because of the way the game works with the reloading, it's just clear room, you know, until you get to the very end, and it's just non-stop monster killing.
Just monster killing. Yeah,
And
it's
it's
kind of
fu-
like
it's
just like
fantastic.
Doom then, really. Just levels.
Exactly.
Dungeon crawler, kill everything.
Exactly,
Leave. Yeah.
exactly. I wouldn't. Oh God, that's a weird one. You're absolutely right, because I would say the feeling I get with Doom is very similar. It's that same. I like it for the same reason. But that new Doom that's a different animal. That's crazy. That stays with you. That's what a game.
Right. Well, we're coming up towards the hour mark, so we'll start to wrap it up.
Yeah, we can wrap it up and pick it up again.
Quick fire questions. Just 6 questions. 3 questions. 1 for modern, 1 for retro.
You haven't told me about this.
You'll get it straight away. So we'll do your favorite genre, your favorite game, your favorite platform for retro, and then we'll do your favorite game, your favorite genre, and your favorite platform for modern.
Okay.
Okay. So we'll just start with the modern.
I'm going to ask you these.
You're going to ask me these as well. Okay. So
Okay.
your favorite modern genre?
It would be like I could say RPG, story-driven narrative adventure type thing. Yeah.
Favorite games?
Of this gen, The Witcher 3 jumps out straight away. Grand Theft Auto. I did really enjoy 5 when it came, although that was a last gen game. But online, I've put so much time into that.
Online.
Red Dead 2, I think, is probably the best game I've ever played.
I bought a PlayStation 4, a second PlayStation 4, just for Red Dead Redemption 2.
Yeah, maybe with the exception of The Last of Us.
Yeah.
Again, that was a last gen game, but still, it's that good. It stands head and shoulders over most other games this gen anyway.
Then your favorite platform, modern?
The PlayStation. The PS4. Yeah. I mean, it's what I play the most.
Yeah. Okay, retro. Favorite genre?
Shmups.
Shoot 'em ups.
Yeah, shoot 'em ups.
Brilliant. Yeah.
Anything side scrolling, even if it's fighting, shooting, I don't care.
Favorite games then?
Oh, straight away, Streets of Rage 3. Streets of Rage 2. That's the god. I've played that. I've probably played that game more than any game that's ever been made. Yeah, from start to finish 1,000 times. Street Fighter.
Yeah. You love your Street Fighter.
I do love Street Fighter. I do. I love Street Fighter in the right circumstances.
Yeah.
Street Fighter's a weird one for me. I can't play it on the Xbox. I can't play it on the Switch.
You have to play it on your PlayStation.
It
with
has
the
to
D-pad on the left,
or a Mega Drive, or a Saturn. As
anything
long as
where
it
it's
has
just a D-pad on the left, on your thumb.
D-pad and face buttons.
Yeah.
Or if you have 2 shoulder buttons on the right, I'm very, very fussy about this. So, because like I was saying to you earlier on, trying to throw a fireball with one hand on the SNES because your high punch is on the left-hand side of the controller, it's just so awkward. And I've played it for so long, and I think I'm good at it. So anything that is detrimental to my game, I just won't entertain it. Yeah.
And then favorite platform for retro?
Mega Drive.
Yeah.
Or the Saturn.
Sega.
Yeah. I do love Nintendo too. I love the Super Nintendo. I would go as far as to say the best platform game I've ever played in my life is Super Mario World on the Super Nintendo.
Okay,
that's a fantastic game.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, I've got the 96 kits called it once, and accidentally sold the cartridge.
Oh man.
I know the cartridge that had that bit. I sold it, so I had because I bought a new version of it, and I had the 2 cartridges, and I was like, yeah, I'm going to keep whatever one's the best copy. And I thought my one was better than the one I bought, but as it turned out, it wasn't. So I started again. I'm up to I think 88. And I've only got the special stages left to go. And I don't know if you've ever played them, have you?
Nope.
Anybody that has will know what I'm going through.
Yeah.
It's
agony.
It's horrible.
Right. So we'll fire through my ones then?
Yes. So I can't remember the questions. So go on.
Genre, games, platform.
Oh, right. Okay. So your favorite genre then?
Modern?
Yeah.
First person shooters.
Really? Okay.
Yeah, I really enjoy a first-person shooter.
I think that's a generation thing.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, it comes with your age. Yeah,
PlayStation, Call of Duty was the first-person shooter I played. The 4-player split screen, and then I would go to a game cafe after school every Friday with my friends Stephen and Nerps, and we would sit for about 2 hours playing Call of Duty 4 online with about 6 or 7 different people, and it was just the best time because it was attached to a little cafe. So you could get your sausage rolls and your honeycomb milkshakes brought to you. You just sit there feeding yourself while you're playing some COD 4.
Yeah, well, we had nothing like that. That was the arcades for us.
Yeah.
That
was our little LAN party. That was us, and I had like an Xbox in the corner with the Guitar Hero, and you could play obviously different games as well. It was a fully kitted out Steam library. So you COD, Counter Strike, Team Fortress, everything. So much fun.
So what's your favorite first-person shooter of all time?
Favorite first-person shooter of all time? Well, the one I put the most hours into, Counter Strike. My favorite? Not really my favorite. I would say my favorite. Gosh, it's kind of hard to say, really. I had to say Call of Duty, not to sound terrible.
I've lost a wee bit of respect for you.
But that's a generation thing again. You know what I mean?
Yes, I'm joking.
World of War is
I'm
the
joking.
best Call of Duty in my opinion.
I would agree.
It's brilliant. Game.
Yes,
So
I
much
mean
fun.
that scene at the end with Reznov with the flag is
Yeah, the Nazi jumps.
I still can't believe when I think about that was in a Call of Duty game. That is spectacular.
Yeah.
The way it's
the Nazi
so
jumps
good.
up, shoots you in the shoulder. Reznov comes out with a
He comes
machete and
tearing out.
just,
Oh,
and then
yes, it's so
he
good.
grabs you by the hand. Dmitri, you should be the one that put the flag up. You are a true Russian hero. And you dander over like dying.
Yeah.
And then you just, and there you go. Berlin is Russian.
I'm on first person shooters in terms of modern ones. My two favorites, because I have to say two, just because
Okay,
they're quite different. Doom,
Yeah,
is
great game.
straight away. Doom's
Doom's probably my favorite. I don't know.
It's
I have
not
a lot
like
of respect for Doom.
It's not
I
like
really
a modern
do.
first
I
person.
have
'cause
a lot of respect for Doom.
it still has quite an older format where your weapons get bigger and more powerful as your enemies get bigger and more powerful.
Yeah.
That's not how most modern FPSs go nowadays.
No.
It's like it's like missions and you use your weapons based on tactics and things
Yes.
like that. Which is why I'm struggling to think of anything that I've played that's better than Metro 2033.
Great
Or sorry,
story,
no,
first
not
person
3020.
game, yeah.
That was the first one.
Metro,
Last Light.
Last Light. No, well, 2033, then Last Light, yeah, then Exodus, yeah.
I haven't played
Metro's
Exodus
a really good game. I only played the first one, and
I just love the atmosphere in it. It's great.
yeah, that post-apocalyptic
It's really good.
Yeah,
It all takes
brilliant.
place, and the fact that it's in Russia, it's yeah.
It's interesting. Interestingly enough, I had a really good fact
Yeah.
about Metro. I think the layout of it is the Moscow Underground.
Oh yeah,
That's what it is. That's the map. Is the layout of the Moscow.
Is it
Underground.
actually?
It is
the same? I didn't know
to
that.
the corner.
I knew it was based on it, but I
Yeah,
didn't know
it's
it was the
exact.
same.
It's identical.
That's
The logo's the
fantastic,
same.
yeah.
If you walk through the things, you get the map of it, and that is the actual Moscow
Wow.
underground system.
Wow.
A really, really cool game. And what was your second one? Oh, Doom and Metro. They were them.
Yeah.
Okay.
I would say so. Yeah.
Favorite
The ones I've
modern,
had the most fun with, anyway.
favorite modern platform. Personal computer.
Well, Epic.
No.
What do you mean?
No.
Do you not love the Epic Store?
No.
Why?
The Epic Store is terrible. It's competition we didn't need, really. Steam had the monopoly, and yes, competition's good, but I hate exclusive. It's not good for anybody.
Shame you.
Exclusives are terrible. Even this kind of Call of Duty Modern Warfare, the one that's coming out, it's given PlayStation an exclusive game mode called Spec Ops Survival, which is just like the modern version of Nazi Zombies, where it's just waves and waves of like guerrilla warfare, like guerrilla forces coming at you, and you just finish them off. That's exclusive to PlayStation 4 for 1 year, and if anybody knows Call of Duty, the lifespan of it is 1 year.
1 year. Unless it's a particularly good, you get
Unless
the
it's
odd
a
one.
particularly good one. Yeah,
I think
so-
it was Black Ops 2.
Black Ops 2 was the best one in modern history, except for, well, some people say 4, but no, I'd say Black Ops 2 is probably the best modern one. And then the last good ones were Modern Warfare 2, Modern Warfare, and World at War.
So, genre, first person shooter, PC,
Yeah,
and
platform.
then your favorite game then.
Oh, my favorite game, Metal Gear Solid. Completely against everything
Really?
I've just
Okay.
said.
Of the newest one, yeah.
1 to 5. So,
Oh, you're getting into the realms of retro now.
Metal Gear Solid 1, PlayStation 1, yeah, retro, okay. Favorite
What's
games?
your best Metal Gear Solid game then?
3, Snake Eater.
What's that? PS2?
PS2, yeah,
Yeah.
PS2.
I'd call that retro.
Would you call it retro?
I would.
Well, then, yeah, would you call PS3 retro?
No.
Yeah, PS3, Metal Gear Solid 4, that would be my favorite game.
I think it changes obviously as time goes on, but at the minute I would cut it off based on the HDMI. Like the Wii feels retro to me.
Yeah, that's
I
fair.
know it's not,
That's fair.
but
yeah,
it feels retro to me.
That's fair.
Yeah.
So that would be my favorite game series is Metal Gear Solid as well.
So your favorite genre then from
Retro Age.
retro gaming?
Oh, adventure.
Okay.
RPG
In what sense?
adventure.
Really, like so.
Pokemon.
Oh yes. Oh yeah. Okay. Oh, do you know what popped into my head just because you've the Fallout thing, but over your shoulder
Fallout
was the
1 and 2.
original Fallout.
Grand
Yeah.
Theft Auto 1 and 2 as well. I loved them actually. They were really a lot of fun.
Yeah.
But definitely Pokemon.
The original
That
Metal
was
Gear
my-
as well.
That was my childhood. Was Pokemon.
Mhm.
That's all I did. Was Pokemon.
Yeah.
So
Did you ever play the original Metal Gear? It was top down
I
as
did
well.
the NES one. Yeah,
Well,
it was.
the common misconception is it's a NES one, but it originally released on the MSX. So any Microsoft fanboys out there, you can say that
Metal Gear Solid's not
Metal
one.
Gear Solid is it was a Microsoft exclusive when it first
Came out
on
and
the
then it became a
MSX
Sony
a long
exclusive
time ago.
until the HD collection came. The HD collection was
Yeah.
the first Metal Gear Solid to be got on the Xbox.
Is that right?
Yeah, I think it was 360.
Very good.
That was towards the end of the 360's lifespan because it came out exclusively on the PlayStation
Mhm.
3 for Sony's. It didn't come out to the 4, and it was about 3 months before the PlayStation 4 dropped. So
Very good.
yeah, that was the first one to come over to the Xbox, and then 5, the Phantom Pain, Ground Zero, and Survival.
Are you excited for the new one? Well, not the new Metal Gear Solid, but the new Kojima game.
Yeah, Death Stranding, of course.
Are you?
Yeah, I don't know much about it, but I'm
really
excited for it.
too. I don't care.
Anything that has Hideo
Okay.
Kojima's name painted on it,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
excited for.
Have you seen the collector's edition?
The baby.
You get a baby in a bottle. It's.
Imagine coming home and you're seeing your mum seeing you holding this baby in the bottle.
I've seen the meme. That's so good, isn't it? Like it's, your mum sees you pull some fetus out of a box. That's madness. So, what was that? Your
Favorite
yes,
retro
okay. So
genre,
favorite
adventure.
platform then, retro.
Favorite platform retro. Any of the Game Boy handhelds.
Okay,
I got a lot of enjoyment out of them.
that's cool. Yeah,
They
yeah.
were, the SP was the dog's diddlers as far as I was concerned.
Yeah.
It was the first one with a backlight.
Well,
I could play that without the street
front
light in the car. Yeah, sorry, you're absolutely
we,
correct.
you're
Front
totally-
light.
we had an
Front
argument
light.
with a guy. Yeah, it's front light. So anyway, yeah, I didn't have much exposure to mobile gaming when I was younger because my mum and dad didn't drive.
Yeah.
Right. So there was never the long car rides or anything like that there. Yeah, we didn't really ever go anywhere, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
So most of my time was either spent exploring, the woods or up the mountains or whatever, or if I was in the house, I was playing it on the TV. And other than those little tagger things that my mum would have bought us one each because they were $3.99 in the corner shop. We would have got one of those, and we could have sat in the caravan and played that for a while. But no, I didn't. The first Game Boy I have ever owned, actual Game Boy that was mine that I owned, was the little black SP that I have now.
Yeah.
I only bought it about a year ago.
Yeah, they're good.
Yeah.
I really like the SPs.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I've played lots of Game Boy Advance games, but it because it was on the DS Lite.
Yeah.
Which is the best mobile console ever made.
It's good.
The DS
Because
Lite.
you can play so much on it. You can play your DS
best.
games, you can play your Game Boy Advance and your Color. I don't think you can go as far back as Game Boy.
I didn't even think you could play color.
You can play Color on it. Yeah,
Wow.
You can go back as far
It
as
is the
Color.
best.
It's pretty good. It's not
so
the best.
good.
It's pretty good.
It's the best.
The 2DS XL, that's the best handheld. No, the Nintendo Switch is the best handheld console. Get real.
Yeah, no, it's not.
It is.
Well, no,
but
we
it's the execution of game developers that make it poor. Having the high-end games like Skyrim, Doom, and help me out here. What other kind of HD graph? The
Wolfenstein?
Witcher 3 and
Witcher,
Wolfenstein.
yeah.
Games like that, they're too powerful for it. You need to keep it towards the Nintendo first-party ones. As always, Nintendo first-parties are
Here.
great, with the exception of
Hold on. See
Link's
if they
Awakening.
run. If they run, who cares?
I do.
I mean, it's fine.
No, it's not.
I'll set it 30 frames a second, and I don't care if it's not high resolution. I mean, I don't care.
I struggle with the PlayStation 4 Pro at 60 because I have 144 at home.
I was playing a
I can't
PS2 on a CRT TV like 2 weeks
Now,
ago.
saying that, I was playing Street
Sorry.
Fighter 2 on
Like-
the SNES on Saturday, and I really, really enjoyed it. It didn't bother me there at all because it was so fluid. It was really fun.
Yeah.
It really, really was. It was good. But I think games like that where it's, you're not like streaming through things and things aren't moving for you as
Like
much.
for example, they've remade the Ghostbusters game that came out on the PS3 and the Xbox 360. Have you played
I've
that?
never played them,
It's actually
no.
quite good.
Yeah.
I think it takes place
Is it
in
like
between-
Luigi's Mansion where you go hoover up ghosts?
No, it's better.
No,
than
better,
that.
is it?
Yeah. The story's good and it has most of the proper voices and everything in it, and it looks like the original actors. It's a good game, but excuse me, they've remade it for the PS3, the Xbox One, and the Switch, and I'll be banning on the Switch as opposed to the R2 because the thing is, it was a last gen game anyway,
Yeah.
so
it
I'm
should
not
run well.
expecting much from it. I don't need it to run in 4K because I've played it before and it didn't run in 4K, so it's
Yeah,
totally
it's
fine.
just-
And I'll play that on the Switch. It's good. The main gripe that I have with the Switch is, for me, it's my HD window into retro gaming. It's because of it has such a great indie. The library's insane.
Yeah.
Like that game, Dead Cells, is one of the best games.
Yeah, you really
one of
enjoyed
the best
that, yeah.
retro video games I've ever played, and It only came out a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
It's fantastic.
It's something I've been meaning to get, actually. Dead Cells,
It's
yeah.
brilliant. You can pick it up really cheap now as well. It's a brilliant game. The only problem I have is games like that, in my opinion, should be played with the D-pad and the analog sticks in their own place on the controller. So it needs to be the
I
other
understand
way
what you're
around.
saying, yeah.
So the release of this the SNES, the wee
Yeah,
wireless
the one
SNES
you were
pad,
looking for, yeah.
that's everything. That's all I've ever wanted for the
Just a
for the
D-pad
Switch.
and face buttons.
Because
and then your
that was the first thing. The SNES what do you call it? The SNES Online thing, like the NES one.
The Nintendo Entertainment, the NES, the
whatever
online
the SNES
thing. You know what I
equivalent
mean?
of it is. Yeah. So it dropped. I was so
Is there
excited.
one? Is there one out
Oh
for
god,
it?
yeah,
Oh,
yeah.
gosh, how have I
And
missed this?
It's got Super Mario World on it. It's
Really?
it's the best. It's got
Wow,
F-Zero
I'm
and stuff.
actually so excited for this,
It's
man.
so good. But this is the problem. It's kind of like the other games. It's not so bad with something like Zelda where you can sit and take your time. But see games where you need to be quick,
Snappy,
and
like Tetris.
you need to be very, very precise with your controls, like Super Mario World, especially in the later levels. Using an analog stick is just a hindrance.
Yeah.
It's like whenever they re-released the Crash Insane Trilogy, I struggled big time with that analog stick.
I didn't use the analog stick. I used the
D-pad.
buttons. I used the D-pad buttons. That was it. That's the only way I could do Skybridge.
So so you have to play it. Oh, you use the thing.
I did not jump onto the ropes. No, I did it in front of you just to prove that I could.
Joking. But if you hold it in handheld, the buttons feel okay. The D-pad buttons, that's okay. But when you put it in the dock mode and you're set, which I play 99% of the time.
I'd say I played 90% of my docked.
If I have the controller, because the analog sticks in their own place, it defeats the purpose of the console for me. So I have bought the most ridiculous looking control pad for the Switch. I think it costs like about £18 off Amazon. It's a third party replica of a PS2 controller, effectively.
Okay.
And it works.
Yeah, I mean,
it
if
does
it works
work
for you, that's what.
Yeah, it's grand. But it's not what I
So
want.
does the SNES controller have two back buttons then? Since
No.
the Switch has two back buttons, so you're just going to lose two buttons?
Well, sure. Look at the NES one. It didn't have any. It only had two buttons. They're designed for playing those games.
Oh, okay, I understand.
So more often than not, if you're going to play like a retro style side scrolling game, even if it's a modern one, you're not going to utilize all of the buttons anyway.
Yeah.
Because there's limited to what you can do. But I do enjoy the Switch. But yeah, this little SNES controller is a game changer for me. Like,
right. Well, we'll call it on that.
All right.
I think this is a premiere podcast from the Video Game Podcast, where we don't really know how to sign it off yet. We'll get an outro.